in the morning we had kind of a formal talk. It was very, very interesting. For the newly arrived exchange students and others, ALTs, I was doing some English translations so they could follow, and so they were able to understand a lot. But now the formal part is over. If you are wearing a tie, please loosen it or take it off. If you are going to stay seated, feel free to take off your shoes. That's fine, as long as they don't smell. So this afternoon we are going to have talks about 10 minutes each, roughly, from each of the various American people who are living here in Yamaguchi Prefecture. And then after that, we will just have free time. If you have to go, you can go. If you can stay a while, we hope that you will stay and talk with the 5 people who have talked. And also we have, like I said, 8 exchange students from Kentucky in America, and 1 from our other state, Finland. Obviously not a state of America, I'm sorry. She is our honorary guest. So we have various other people who are also living and working here in Yamaguchi from various places in the world, so you're all welcome. And I just wanted to have you relax. To start off with, though, we have a message from the Principal Office of the Consulate of the United States in Fukuoka. That might not be the correct title. So please take a listen. Yes.
Hello, friends of YamaguchiJapan-America Society. I'm Shuka, Principal Officer at the U.S. Consulate in Fukuoka. I want to give my heartfelt congratulations on your 10th anniversary. We appreciate the work you do every day to strengthen U.S.-Japan relations. The United States and Japan are the world's 2 largest democratic economies. We are allies, and we are partners globally. What you do at the grassroots level helps maintain the strong bonds that help our relationship flourish. Since I assumed my position in July, I have enjoyed the inspiring beauty of this part of Japan and the friendliness of the people here. During my 3-year stay in the region, I will advance 3 main priorities. First, I will be keenly focused on strengthening the commercial and trade ties between the United States and Kyushu Yamaguchi region. Second, I will work tirelessly to support the U.S.-Japan Security Alliance, the cornerstone of a free and open Indo-Pacific. Third, I'll invest our conscious resources into building additional people-to-people exchanges between Japan and the United States. You all, the Japan-American Society, Yamaguchi, and other JAS chapters around the country, have made it your mission to build and sustain these people-to-people ties. We at the Consul support you in your mission and value our friendship with your organization. Your efforts highlight our shared values and all that we have to offer each other as partners and friends. Lastly, I look forward to visiting Yamaguchi soon and working with you to promote further mutual understanding between the United States and Japan. Thank you.
So this principal officer just came in June or July, and so hopefully the next time we have some sort of meeting type of thing, he will be able to come to Yamaguchi, and we can meet him in person. Okay, that's good. Hi. If you have the program from this morning, or if you just got the program from this afternoon, at the end of the program is a QR code. We would like you to fill it out to let us know how you felt about today's activities, mostly the afternoon's activities. Here, the QR code underneath the pictures of the people talking together. And so in case you have to leave early, I just wanted to let you know, please use your cell phone and the QR code in the picture, and you can go to the link and fill in the survey for us to let us know about this afternoon activity. This is a different survey than the one you had to fill out before lunch. That one goes back to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. This one stays with us. And I hope that today is fun and that for all of you and interesting. And I hope that we can have more people join the Japan-America Society, YamaguchiJapan-America Society. There's a little place for you to write your email if you would like to learn more and join us. So please feel free. With that, I will hand the mic over to Sid, our MC for today. And we can
Without further ado, I would like to introduce our first speaker, Kira Adams, an assistant professor at Yamaguchi University. She's from New Jersey, and she will be talking about college towns in America. So please come on up.
More than 2 times the population. I live in Willingboro, which is right there. It's about in the center. So New Jersey is a place with a lot of diversity. It's one of the most diverse states, both ethnically, racially, and religiously. It has a very long history, ranging from famous battles in the Revolutionary War, the War of England, to being the birthplace of the American film industry, when Thomas Edison invented the first motion picture camera. Being close to New York, it also has very big cities, but also it has the Pine Barrens, a beautiful national park, which is the biggest undeveloped land on the East Coast. Industries range from pharmacies. It has some of the largest pharmaceutical companies in the world, and it also has a great diversity of agriculture and food processing. Before I came to Japan, I was living in a small town in New Hampshire, which is further north in the US, where I was attending university. When I found a job in Japan, I learned that I was going to Yamaguchi City, and I researched on Wikipedia. It said Yamaguchi City has 200,000 people. I was pretty surprised. Because my small town had about 10,000 people, and my hometown had about 30,000 people. So 10, 30, 200, oh my gosh, Yamaguchi is a giant city. So I compared this to the towns near me. So in New Hampshire, the biggest city is only 115,000 people. That's the biggest city. And New Jersey, number 3 biggest city, is also smaller than Yamaguchi. So you can imagine I'm on the airplane, very excited about my first big city experience, and then I arrived in Yamaguchi Bay Airport. It's a little small, but okay, usually airports are small. And then I drove to Yamaguchi City, and I was very confused. So don't get me wrong, I'm happy that I came to Yamaguchi and it was a small city, because I don't really like big cities. And I want to talk a little bit about the difference between small cities, small towns in America, and small towns in Japan. Let's look one more time at Hanover, New Hampshire. This is where I went to university. You can see, it's a little hard to see, the orange part is Hanover. It's about the same size as Sanyo-Onoda, although it only has about 10,000 people, so there's much fewer people. And it's mostly just trees. The green part is where most of the people live, and so I'm going to show you a closer picture of the green section. If you look carefully, you'll see that the red circles are where the university buildings are, and the green circles are where the town residents are. It's the houses, the high schools, basically where regular people live. You'll notice 2 things. One is that the university is about half of the town. And that's also for the population. More than half of the population is students. And you also might notice that it's difficult to see where the university has specific borders. It kind of is blended into the town. And this is a big difference from Japanese universities, where you kind of have gates and not anybody can go in. So when you come into my university, supporting the sports teams, and using the facilities like ski places and golf areas. Finally, it is a university, so it's very dedicated to learning. There is a learning institute that provides education to adults that are not connected to the university. Anybody can join and continue learning into their older years. And auditing, attending a class, even though you are not a student, is very free. You just need to talk to the professor and say, I'd like to learn. Is it okay if I come? And many professors will say yes. You might be surprised by how much you can find in these small towns of America. Each town is a little bit different. And I introduced examples from the school that I attended, but I definitely recommend that you visit a small town in the U.S. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That was very interesting. All right. So our next presenter is Ms. Alexandra Diana Fern. She's an assistant language teacher, ALT, at Yamaguchi Senior High School, and she's from the state of California. She will be talking about Indigenous American contributions to society, so what Native Americans have done for America and the world. Here you are. Thank you. Yes, here it is right here. Okay.
Shopkichi, everybody. So it's so good to be here. There are lots of videos in my presentation, so I will try to move quickly because I want to make sure I get through all of it. Oh, right. Apologies. I want to try to get through all of my presentation. I also brought some different cultural artifacts. Please come ask questions after. I can explain them more. So let's begin. So Native Americans, we are the original cultures that are part of what we now know as the United States of America, but that is not what it was always called. The names that you see on this board are some of the original names for the United States of America. These are all different tribes from all across the country, and obviously this is not all of them, and it's honestly a shame that we do not have more documentation for what this land used to be called, but I may do. So, there are currently an estimated 5 million Native Americans currently living in the United States. There are 574 registered tribes. A registered tribe is a Native American group that is recognized by the United States. The government says, yes, you are actually a Native American. But there are many tribes who are currently fighting for recognition. They say, no, we have our own language, our own culture, and we deserve to be recognized. It is a very difficult and long process, so it is currently at 574, but that number is expected to grow. So, to give you an idea of how small that population is, 5 million people is only 1.5% of the population of the entire United States of America. These are the original people, the ones who were living here first before, many waves of immigration came, and unfortunately, they have been reduced greatly in number. However, what I want to talk about today is how Native Americans have contributed to modern American society. I personally am Pima. It is a tribe in the southwestern United States, so very close to Mexico. So here's a pop quiz. Where are potatoes from? A, are they from South Africa? B, Ireland? C, America? D, Russia? Yes, they are from America. Wow! So they were farmed by Native Americans to be much bigger, pest resistant. They're easier to grow, easier to eat, more sophistication. The first plant is how corn originally looked, and by the end, with Native American cultivation, practice, and growing it to be more delicious, we have corn that we now know today. My favorite is Native American sake. What? So, fun fact, Atsuo Sakurai was a sake maker in Akita, but he met his wife Heather, who is a Navajo from Arizona, and they fell in love, they got married. And when he moved to Arizona, he said, hey, what if I try to make sake here on the Navajo reservation? So the Navajo worked together, and they helped him start his sake business. And now it is considered one of the best internationally created sake in the entire world. It has won 4 different gold medals at the Tokyo Sake competition, and then some. It has won multiple silvers as well, so if you would like to try it, Arizona sake, made in Arizona at the Navajo Reservation. So now we're moving on to art. How have Native Americans contributed to artwork? So one of my personal favorites is Navajo silversmithery. So the Navajo began working with silver and turquoise, the stone. They began working with this in the 1860s, and it very quickly became one of their hallmark exports. They're very good at making this jewelry. An expert Navajo jeweler can make one of these bracelets in 20 minutes. It's very impressive. This is the Southwest region where you can find many of these types of silver bracelets. There is inlay, which, how do I, there we go. The inlay is like this, where it's put into the silver, and then there is stamp designs as well, which are pressed into the metal. There are also totem poles, very classic. This is an image everyone knows of Native American culture. What you don't know, probably, is that the totem pole is not actually organized in a hierarchy from the most important being at the top to the least important being at the bottom. That is not how it works. The most important symbol of a totem pole is at the bottom because it is bearing the weight of the rest of the pole. Usually, depending on where they are built, they symbolize different things. They can be a story. You read the pole and it tells the story of creation or how this group of people came to be. It can tell the story of a great battle or surviving famine. There are other types. They're found in the Northwest, up into Canada. So there are other, like I said, there are other types of totem poles. One of my favorites is called the shame pole. The pole on the right is called the seaward pole. It was built because the local tribe was disappointed in Governor Seward, who came to visit. He was disrespectful at a potlatch. A potlatch is a ceremony where people give expensive gifts or they break expensive things to show that the person visiting is worth something. You know, you are worthy of these expensive things. But he did not treat them right, so they put him on a pole, naked, with a red nose to symbolize his greed. And then there are house posts as well. These hold up lodge homes. They're very, very common. They tend to tell the story of the family who lives in the home. And the last piece of artwork that I want to talk about is Native American beadwork. This is normally found in the Midwest region. It is very, very detailed. These pieces take months to complete. They take a very, very long time. This is the Midwestern region where they can be found. And then there's modern art. I wanted to show you Maria Talchi. She was the first prima ballerina who was of Native descent in the United States. She began dancing in 1928 at the age of 3 years old. When she was very young, she already became the prima ballerina in 1947. She was the first American ballerina to perform in Moscow and later became the director of the Chicago Opera. So I would like to show you a quick clip, if it'll let me. That's not what I need to do. So this is Maria Talchi. Originally, there were metal balls that were attached to the end of a lacrosse stick, and if you were in the way, a player could bash you over the head with it. We don't play that way anymore, but it's fun. And unfortunately, that's all I have to show you all. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. That was an incredible speech. I certainly don't want to play that kind of lacrosse. All right. Our next speaker is Hunter Hagerman. I got it right the second time. She is an assistant language teacher at Takamori Senior High School, and she is from the state of Hawaii. We recently became sister states of Hawaii. Very exciting. She will be talking about the history of Hawaii-Japan relations and the experience of Nikkei. So, thank you.
Okay, can everybody hear me all right? Awesome. My speech is long, so I have a script. I apologize if I'm reading it closely and not engaging with the audience, but let's get to it. So my name is Hunter Hagerman. I am a first-year JET program ALT from Honolulu, Hawaii. And today I would like to share a bit about the wonderful island I grew up on, as well as my story as a fourth-generation Nikkei.
Better? Okay.
So, first, I would like to start with where I'm living in Yamaguchi. So, I live in Iwakuni City on the west side, just 15 minutes away from the gondola to Kintakyo and Iwakuni Castle. It reminds me of where I live in Oahu. It's a little bit away from the city center, which is great because getting to the city from my house is 30 minutes faster than if I were to take a car in Hawaii, because the amazing train system. So, on my first week I spent in Japan, I went to the famous Kintakyo Bridge, and I learned that there are no bolts or nails holding it together. Rather, using gravity and the wood's flexibility, each plank balances off of each other, borrows their support, and locks right into place. I find it fascinating that these interwoven beams are able to stand the turbulent wind and rain and welcome thousands of people over their steps every day. So as you can see, this is pictures from the recent typhoon, proving the point I made when I was drafting this speech up about a month before this happened. Yeah, the waters were crazy, but it's good that it survived. So, there is also a lot of surprisingly similar things in Yamaguchi to that of Hawaii. As I traveled from Ube Airport by car to Iwakuni, I saw many, many fields of what appeared to be taro. I thought, surely it wasn't what I thought it was, taro, because Hawaiian taro is often planted in wetlands to absorb the rich spring water. However, after a confusing Google searches, I discovered that these fields were planted with Japanese satoimo. They're very similar to Hawaiian taro. Apparently, satoimo is considered an ancient root vegetable and was very important to the Jomon people, who ate it before rice cultivation was popular. In Hawaii, we have a legend regarding the origin of taro. The Earth Mother, Papa, and Sky Father, Rakea, had a daughter named Ho'ohokukalani. Her first pregnancy was a stillborn, so she sugarcane and pineapple fields. Their lifestyle was impossibly hard, and many young women had children that they would bring to the fields every day because they could not afford to take days off. Hawaii was a mixing pot with other immigrants as well, such as Korean, Portuguese, Filipino, Chinese, and since none of them knew English and they had to be able to speak to each other, a very interesting thing happened. Many different languages came together within English and created something we now know as Hawaiian Pidgin English. So I will show a little video about how Japanese integrated into this language.
存在しています。なんか面白い形で残っていくのが、例えば鼻水ありますよね。こう、くしゃみをしたりとか風邪をひいている時に鼻水が垂れます。その鼻水のことって鼻バタって言うんですよね。それってどこから来てるかっていうと、鼻、日本語の鼻ですね。あとはバター、英語のバター、鼻からバターが出てくるみたいな感じで、それが今のそのフィジン語っていうね、ハワイで話されている独特な英語に残っていて、なので、こうね、鼻バタっていうんですね。
Isn't that interesting? Anabata. I use that a lot. Okay, so moving on to my family. We were also people that immigrated from Seoul, Oshima. My grandfather on my mother's side was raised on Maui, coming from parents who had once worked on a plantation. His name was Haruo Shigezawa. Unfortunately, he couldn't speak Japanese, nor could he understand it, as many immigrant families chose to assimilate into American culture by neglecting to teach their children their mother tongue. As such, the language was lost 3 generations ago. I am the first of my family to try and relearn Japanese. That does not mean that the rest of Japanese culture and traditions have disappeared from Hawaii. In fact, many non-Japanese residents of modern Hawaii very similar to the ones I can find at Lawson's or 7-Eleven in Japan. So every morning when I'm a little bit late to work, I grab a musubi. Okay, and so I like to think of Yamaguchi as a bridge. Japan on the west bank, Hawaii on the east bank. Yamaguchi is such a bridge between cultures that when many Nikkeijins such as myself return to Japan, Yamaguchi is there to support us on our crossing. Thank you very much for your attention, and I hope you continue to support Japanese-American relations through Yamaguchi sistership with Hawaii. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That was a very interesting speech. Give me 1 second while I switch the computer. I'm the next speaker. My name is Sydney Michael. Like I said, I'm a coordinator of international relations at the Yamaguchi Prefectural Office. Hunter?
Oh, my mask.
And I am from Wisconsin, and I'm talking about everyday American culture. So give me about 60 seconds. 2 new words, terms to you, big C culture and little C culture. What are they? What are they in the United States? And then some charms of little C culture. My name is Sydney Michael. I'm from Evansville, Wisconsin in the United States. Evansville is a very small town. We have 5,000 people. There is 1 elementary school, 1 junior high school, and 1 high school. There are no buses or trains. Yes, you have to have a car. I like karaoke. My favorite anime is Evangelion, and if you ask Kinako or Takenoko, it's Kinako. No, you're wrong. So, what are big C and little C culture? It's explained like an iceberg. So, big C culture. There are lots of words, don't worry. It's the top of the iceberg. This is what you learned in school. The flag. It's music from a country. It's the holidays in a country. The language, maybe arts and crafts. These are very easy to Google. Wikipedia, America. Oh, I see. But what's much bigger and much more interesting is called little C culture. It's big C for capital C and little c for lowercase c. So little c culture is facial expressions or maybe hand gestures. It's what do you think about your elders and people younger than you? What are your ideas on religion and morals and time? So those little interesting things, little things are more interesting than big things, I think. As an example, big C American culture. Please raise your hand if when I say America, you think this. This is America. Right? Okay. That's okay. That's okay. So the upper left is the American flag. I think you've seen it. The right-hand side is a Christmas tree. I think Japanese people know what Christmas is, and probably some things about America might have some misconceptions. We don't eat Kentucky Fried Chicken on Christmas. And the lower left is a hamburger. I apologize for showing you a picture of a very delicious looking burger. I also want to eat one now. So these are big C American culture. There's also little c American culture, the small things. So, for example, talking to strangers on the bus, just chatting with people you don't know. Sitting on tables, that's a new one. Yes, this is not rude, and depending on where you are. Just having informal parties at your house, inviting people over, or having humor in a work meeting. These things are part of American culture that you might not know about. So let's go over them. 1, talking to strangers. Maybe Japanese people have an idea, or if you've been to America, we like to talk to everyone, even if we don't know them. So when you go into public, you might smile at strangers or wave and have small talk in public. Small talk is usually non-controversial topics. Oh, funny weather we're having lately. It's already, October, but it doesn't feel like fall. Maybe local sports team wins and or loses a game. How is school going? We both go to college. I like your sweatshirt. I went there. Just common interests. Oh, your bag. It has a picture of this character on it. I like that TV show. It's very common to just walk up, or if you sit next to someone on the bus, start to chat with them. That's not very common in Japan. Also, the headphone signal. Americans here know exactly what I'm talking about. I'm getting all thumbs up from the back. So, because this is common in American culture, we've created a new signal. So, if you don't have headphones on, it says either please talk to me or maybe I'm available. But even if you're not listening to music, you go, I don't want anyone to talk to me today. You will put in your headphones. It says, please don't talk to me. Some people don't get it yet, but that's usually what it means. If you see someone with headphones, maybe don't talk to them. Another small c culture, humor in meetings. It's not considered rude or unprofessional, usually, and it actually helps build stronger bonds between people. They've done some research, and it's been shown that humor relationship, just a little bit, nothing controversial, can ease tension during busy periods of work, make you feel closer to your boss, and more able to ask questions when you feel stuck. So, oh, what should I do on the next project? Oh, we have a friendly relationship, I can ask. Without overdoing it, it can also improve workplace culture in the United States. Also, informal parties. When I first came to Japan and wanted to make Japanese friends, I would talk to people at work or around me when I studied abroad and say, oh, come over to my apartment, let's have dinner. And everyone looked at me. We don't know each other that well yet. Why would I go to your apartment? I was shocked. Well, in America, if I know you a little bit, yeah, you can come to my apartment, that's fine. It's very different in Japan. My friend Ken, who I met a couple years ago, I went to his house and he said, oh, I bought this house 4 years ago and you're the first person that isn't my family to come. What? That's unheard of. We have housewarming parties. I have a new house. Come on over. So it's not just to show off your wealth or how tasteful your decor is, necessarily. Maybe if you get into the higher tax brackets, that's true. But it's usually just informal, hey, come to my apartment. You gather, you chat. The role of host is very informal. I don't need to serve tea and hand everyone a cup, no snacks on trays, just the phrase, make yourself at home. So treat my home like your home. Go into the kitchen, grab something to drink, it's fine. So, I'm seeing lots of shocked faces from the Japanese in the crowd. I expected that. Oh, yes. Also on this picture you can see shoes inside. It depends on the family. A lot of Asian American families continue to remove shoes in the house, and other cultures that remove shoes. There are also families that don't remove shoes in the house. In Japan, it's 100% take off your shoes in the house. In America, depends on the family. Who has a shoe removal family? Take your shoes off in the house? Okay. Don't have to take your shoes off in the house? Up there? Oh, not really. My family is keep your shoes on in the house. I didn't like it, but that's what it was. Yes. So this is my final quote. I found it in a textbook, and it's very difficult, so I put the Japanese up. It's a little strange Japanese, but I wanted to keep the context. So culture has been defined almost exclusively in terms of the fine arts, geography, and history. This narrow definition of culture, unfortunately, does not fully prepare anyone to understand the wide range of behavior exhibited by our species. So, to explain this further, maybe the big things, the flag, the holidays, Christmas, Halloween, 4th of July, very American holiday, it's not the most important or the biggest thing. The most important might be the little things in every day. So thank you very much for listening. That concludes my speech. I'm not going to thank myself.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Sorry, we're going to get over that. So our next speaker and our last speaker is Jenny Rarick from the, an assistant language teacher in Hofu City. Jenny is from Indiana and will be talking about the geography of North America. So please take it away.
Hello, everyone. Is this working?
Oh, it's off.
Hello? Oh, there we go. I thought so. So it's standard practice in elementary and middle schools where I'm from to begin every class with a set list of questions. So me being up here in the lecture hall, I have a very strong desire to start asking you what time of day it is and what's the weather like. But I'll spare you that chore for the day. All right, so up until now, the other presenters have been doing presentations that are relatively specific to their lives, to one extent or another, except for Sydney. And I was sort of tasked with trying to do an overview, and people around here, unfortunately, because I let it in on the secret, know that I have a background in geology, and I thought about that and decided that because I used to actually teach geology courses in college, that there's no way I can do geology in a 10-minute presentation. It just is too technical, too fast. So I'm just going to take you on a quick tour across North America in terms of the geography. All right, so I have chosen 11 general regions of the North American continent, and these are not specific to any one exact area or state or climate, but they are meant to represent sort of either very large regional areas that are distinct in North America, or they are meant to represent sort of the extremes that can be found on the continent. And I think it's very interesting that every place I've chosen is somewhere that you can either drive to or theoretically walk to if you are at least a survivalist. But they're all on the same landmass. So of course I have to start with the standard. Here's how big the main islands of Japan are relative to the continent of North America. And so one is Eastern Mountains and Great Lakes region, the Deep South, Coastal South, Central Plains, sagebrush area, mountains, desert, West Coast mountains, the Northwest Coast rainforest areas, the tundra, and then the Arctic of North America. And I've also tried my best to put in representative cities or communities in those regions. So here are the eastern Appalachian Mountains and forests, and this part of the United States can look remarkably like a lot of Japan. So when I came to Yamaguchi Prefecture a year ago, I couldn't help but feel like I was in the state of West Virginia or Georgia or North Carolina or something like that, because the mountains and trees look nearly identical, at least from a distance. This is the city of Pittsburgh in the state of Pennsylvania, and it's one of the largest American cities that is built right into this sort of mountainous, eastern mountainous terrain. Great Lakes region. So this is sort of near where I'm from in America, at least northern Indiana is part of this, but I'm more in the central part of the state. And the Great Lakes are, in terms of surface area, some of the largest freshwater bodies of water in the world. In fact, Lake Superior is the largest in the world in terms of surface area. And so when you're standing on the coastlines of some of these lakes, you feel like you're next to the ocean or a sea, because you can't see the other side. And so this is the Canadian city of Toronto. And I could have chosen Chicago, but either one will do. And so again, it looks like you're next to the ocean, even though it's a freshwater lake. Here's the southern coastal wetlands, a swamp or bayou down very near the Gulf of Mexico. This is some of the closest that you can find to a tropical rainforest in North America, but it's not quite. It can very rarely technically snow in these areas, but again, maybe once every 20 years or something like that. So of course I have to choose the city of New Orleans, which is very famous in America, in this area. Central Prairie. So this is what a lot of the central part of North America looked like hundreds of years ago, before agriculture became the big business in the area. So you have this tall grass prairie that extends for hundreds of kilometers in every direction. And this is Kansas City, Missouri, which is one of the largest, most famous cities in Central America. This is the sagebrush steppe, and the steppe is a region that is generally quite flat, but it is near a mountain range and often slightly higher in elevation. And as we progress west, you notice that there's less and less rainfall. So we have gone from forest to grasslands to now the sagebrush. And it's almost a desert climate, but not quite. This sagebrush is a native plant to North America and is considered to be actually quite beautiful, and some people will cultivate it, people who live in these areas. And so this is Albuquerque, New Mexico, which is considered to be in this sort of region, although a bit to the south, but close enough. So next we get to the famous Rocky Mountain region of the United States. So this is getting into the western part of the country. And you notice that there's some more of the sagebrush in the foreground, but you also start transitioning into the high elevation pine forest. And the standard city in this region would be Denver, Colorado, which is also fairly well known. And it has some of the most beautiful scenic backdrop to any city in the United States. And I've been here a couple times, and it's always quite a striking experience. Next we have the classic desert Southwest, which it's not one complete entire region. There's more than one desert, and it can also be pretty mountainous. So in some places it's hard to distinguish the desert Southwest from the western mountain regions. And this is also the area where you have famous places like the Grand Canyon. And one of the largest, most famous cities would be Phoenix, Arizona, which is right in the middle of this area. And Phoenix, along with Las Vegas, Nevada, are they're very popular places for people to live because they don't have a very cold winter. But the problem is there's not very much water here, and so it becomes increasingly increasingly more difficult for these cities to find enough water to support the populations they have. Now we have the West Coast mountains, and I'm sort of lumping in several separate mountain ranges into this, and I have a couple past geology professors who would probably hit me with a textbook if they saw me classifying all these as like the Western Mountains all in one. But here we go. So this is Yosemite National Park, pretty famous, and this is Los Angeles, California, second largest city in the United States, and a lot of people aren't aware, but there's actually quite an extensive mountain range just to the east of it. Here we have the Pacific Northwest rainforest. This area is in many ways the closest you're going to find to Japan's climate, especially the northern part of Honshu in the United States. This is the rainiest part of North America. This often gets several meters worth of rain every year. Classic city here is Seattle, and you notice the big volcano in the background, so in some ways it has sort of its own version of Mount Fuji. Now we start going north very far. This is the boreal forest in tundra, so you have this very low scrub brush and a few scattered trees, because this area is so cold that trees have a very hard time growing at all. But there are communities up here. I don't remember the name of this. There's a couple of these small little towns. And the people who live up here, a lot of them are, in fact, Native Americans. And they're very hardy people. It's very impressive they can live up in these areas. But even further north than this is the Arctic. And so up here, you lose even the brush. And it's basically rock and snow and ice. And you get polar bears up here, and seals, various things like that. But even here, there are these small fishing communities that manage to hold on. And again, a large part of the population here are Native Americans from these regions. And I think it's interesting that to make up the lack of color in their landscape, they are known for building extremely colorful houses. So these little towns can be very beautiful. Anyway, there's still more to explore than just this basic overview. So thank you for listening to my presentation. And here's a very old map of North America from 1783, before Western explorers had fully figured out where everything was. So thank you.
So yeah, we'll have all of the presenters come sit up in the front. Can I get one more round of applause for everybody? Thank you very much. Are there any questions for the group? Please raise your hand if you have a question. Yes, Nikki. Oh, thank you very much.
Cindy, I have a comment regarding wearing shoes in the house.
Yes.
I moved with my Japanese family to America, and my wife told me to take off my shoes. And I said, this is America. And she didn't say a word. She just got a broom and a dustpan and a mop and put them in my hands and said, you're in charge of the floors. That doesn't stop that.
Thank you. That sounds a little bit like my family. Anything else? Questions or comments from the audience? Don't be shy. I saw that. Oh, thank you. Our mic runner's going to get some exercise here.
All of the speech is so good, and especially interested in Taobao. I had one of my friends is Native American, and I heard the name of it, and I want to know what kind
end of my presentation, but it was too long, sorry. But yes, so a powwow is a gathering, a festival of as many tribes as can make it. People come from Alaska to Florida to New York. It's everyone's invited, and it's a mix of religion and contests and just having fun. There's so much food. Normally, it's a lot of dance contests, and these dances can have different meanings. So some dances are to tell stories, and these would be traditional men's dances. The men will wear beautiful, feather headdresses and the beads that you might see in movies. And these dances tend to be about winning a war or fighting a god. Women's dances tend to be more about healing. So there's a belief that this dance is magical, and if you dance in honor of someone, it will help them heal. So if your loved one maybe has cancer, the whole powwow will dance in their honor to help them feel well. And sometimes it's just for fun. There's a dance called chicken dance, and it's small children. They put something between their foreheads, and they must dance in a circle, and whoever drops whatever it is, a potato maybe, whoever drops it first loses, and the other child wins the chicken dance. So it's fun, it's spiritual, it's a big festival, yeah.
Thank you very much for your question. Anything else? Comments, questions? I was a teacher. I can just call on you. Of course.
You were talking a lot earlier about the little parts of culture that surprised you. When you first came to Japan, what do you think was one of the things that was most surprising to you?
So that's a good question. One of the things that surprised me the most, it's less a textbook cultural difference, but cash is much more prevalent here than in the United States. When I went to college, like the back of my phone, the phone case, I had my student ID, my credit card, and my bus pass. I did not carry cash. No dollars. Very, very rarely. I mean, even the vending machines, you can take cards. So when I first came here, I was like, I need to buy a wallet. I don't even own a wallet anymore. And now I need to buy one with a change purse attached. The cash really got me. Thank you, good question. Anything else?
The trash system.
Oh, the trash too. So separating trash is not as common in the United States. My college, we had to separate a little bit, but the system was different. It was paper, plastic and/or cans, everything else. Done.
Can I add?
Oh, of course.
Okay, so in Hawaii, I used to work at a Japanese sushi restaurant, and so I would get a lot of Japanese tourists coming in and dining with us. And because of COVID, instead of like the water cups, we would hand out like these type of water bottles. And every time they would sit down and then they'd start like ripping this off, and I was like, why are they doing that? Turns out when you're recycling, you should rip this off, and that is like not a thing in America. So very, very interesting.
That's very true. Anything else? Comments, questions? We got one at the top and then down.
So very simple question, but you said that you were surprised to difference between in Japan, we all people put off our shoes, right?
Yes.
And enter the house. Then now, how do you do it in your apartment?
Very good question. So my family in America does not take our shoes off. So when I was a kid, I did not do it. I came to Japan and I have a cute little gengan. I can put my shoes in the box. So I take my shoes off at home. And I went back to America to visit my family, and I got used to taking my shoes off. That's what I do now. So I got
wear for a length of time, you take them off. And because of that, you never know where your shoes are. So because of me coming to Japan 30 years ago, my parents, my family in Seattle, have all adopted the take your shoes off when you walk in the door. So now they're Japanese style. But guests come and they wear their shoes. So there's some people who wear no shoes in the house. At the same time, people wear shoes in the house. So it's a big mix, number one. That's very funny. And here in Japan, of course, we take our shoes off in the house. Unless I'm in a hurry, and then I say, I'm an American, and I can do whatever I want, and I go to my house with my shoes on.
I have done that. You know, if I forget something in the bedroom at the back and I'm already ready to go,
It's okay, I'm American.
It's okay. And I believe we have one down here.
What is the most delicious local food you see in each place? Each person.
Oh, I think this is a good question. Why don't we start at the end and work our way down? So the question was, what is the most delicious local food in your area?
Philly cheesesteak.
That's actually a hard question for me. I don't tend to go for American food, even though I'm American. Yeah. Well, now I feel bad because I don't really know.
Want to see if you can come back?
Yeah.
Okay, let's come work our way back.
Okay, so Hawaiian food has, many different foods in Aruba. I think the kalua pig and koi. So koi is made from mashed taro that I talked about earlier, and kalua pig is pig roasted and smoked, and it's very flavorful and so good. I highly recommend it. If you go to Hawaii, you will definitely get it.
For California, the best food, so easy, tacos, 100%. Yes. So I mentioned in my presentation, I'm half Pima, half Mexican. I was raised on Mexican food. So any Mexican food, I'm going to say is my favorite, but tacos are the absolute best. There's many different kinds. El pastor is very spicy. Well, I hear it's spicy, it's not for me. But it's my personal favorite. So if you visit California, please try El Pastor tacos. Oh, soft. Oh, the taqueria style with the two soft tacos, yeah.
I'm going to tribute to New Jersey is very close to Philadelphia, and Philly cheesesteak has already been taken. But Philadelphia soft pretzels are really delicious. It's a soft bread that's twisted up into a cute bow shape, and it's very salty. You can get them anywhere, but they're especially delicious near Philadelphia. And also, saltwater taffy is a New Jersey specialty. It's kind of like haiku in Japan, but it's very famous near the beach. It actually got its name because it was near the beach and the store flooded in a big storm, and it was filled with salt water. And the owner of the store said, well, I still need to sell them, so these are saltwater taffy. They're especially salty, and the name has stayed with them since then.
I'll answer while the mic is passed. So I'm from Wisconsin, which is called it's the Badger State, but also we're very famous for dairy, America's dairy land. So milk products, milk, cheese curds are very famous. It's like a little nugget of cheese. But also frozen custard. It's like ice cream, but creamier. Creamy ice cream. And so cheese, dairy products, and beer. Many famous American beers are made in America, like Miller. If you've heard of Miller, that's Milwaukee, Wisconsin. So beer and cheese come to Wisconsin. All right.
Okay, well, so I have two answers. And they're both a bit of a stretch, but I'll make it work. So the first is that towards the very northwest part of my home state is the outskirts of the city of Chicago. And Chicago is famous for a specific style of pizza called deep dish pizza.
Yes.
And, so, pizza looks about that thick. And so there are restaurants in Chicago that you have to make reservations 4 weeks in advance because they're extremely popular. Although, again, where I'm from in Indiana, it's still a couple hundred kilometers from there, so I don't get a whole lot of that specific type of restaurant where I live. And then the other one is a bit more personal because I am, if I have to do my math right, 87.5% German. And so there is the nearest big city to where I live is Indianapolis, which is the capital of the state of Indiana. And there is a restaurant slash bakery slash like random goods store in Indianapolis called Heidelberg House, which specializes in authentic German everything. And they make excellent German cake. And I really miss German cake because the cake in Japan is so light and fluffy. I feel like I'm eating sugared air. So I like to have my German cake back, please. But anyway, so those are my two.
Thank you very much. Interesting question.
Now we're all very hungry.
Okay.
So free time in the States. Who wants to go first? So, okay, I'll go first. So I went to high school in the through high school in the United States. Then I went to college at the University of Minnesota. I graduated, and then I moved to Japan 3 months later. So when I became a working adult, I moved to Japan. So I never had a full-time job in America. When I was in high school and college, I was in many clubs. So I did club activities. I had a part-time job. I studied. I did not like parties, so I did not go to parties. Very boring. But parties do happen. People do go to parties, just not me. Yeah. But I've never been a working adult in America, so I can't answer that way.
I have the exact same story, so I'm gonna pass on this one.
Yeah, so I lived, so I lived very close to San Francisco. After work, I could get in my car and just drive straight to the city. So it got to the point where I was going every single week. I was going to San Francisco, and there's so many restaurants. There's always a band playing. Even on a weeknight, I went on a Thursday. Why not? Let's go see a band. You know, you're getting home at 10:30, and then you have to get up at 7 for work, but it's fine. That was how I was living before I came here. Here? No. After work here, I get on my bike and I pick a random direction and I ride my bike for an hour and I see what I can find. I have found so many restaurants. I have met so many people. It's been amazing. Maybe I'll run out of directions and then I'll be bored, but not yet.
Yeah, I'm like Sydney. I graduated about 3 months before I came to Japan, so didn't have a full-time job, but I can say that I was a NEET. I was an otaku. So I basically played video games for 8 hours, and then I went to bed, and then went to school, played video games for 8 hours, and then repeated. But now in Japan, I am exploring. I went on a hike in Kuramatsu. So I live in Iwakuni. She came over and we walked around one weekend. I'm doing way more than I thought I would over the weekend and after school. School after day school.
Well, I just had a strange life in general, but the two things that come to my mind are when I was a graduate student, my full-time job at the time was I was the grounds maintenance person for the university's like park area greenhouse, research greenhouse complex, and so I would spend a couple, depending on the day, several hours to the full 8 hours working there, and then I would often have some sort of research project that I would go and deal with on my quote-unquote spare time. As a graduate student, spare time is not really spare time. And then the other is that because of COVID, I got trapped in the United States for a lot longer than I expected to, waiting to get to Japan for my job here. And so in the meantime, I started and I ran my own landscaping business for about 6 months. And so I would go and usually put back together someone's yard that was a mess, and between all the weeding and the chainsaw and the digging, and I would be a total mess. And so almost every day, the very first thing I do when I got home was to take a long shower and then spend several hours on the sofa trying to recover.
All right, thank you very much. お待たせしました. Sorry for.
Thank you so much for your great presentations. I was so impressed. And then when I was in the United States, I have been laughed so many times when I spoke English. My question to you is, have you been laughed when you speak some Japanese because of the pronunciation? For example, my friend, she was saying to me, I need a nanny, and I didn't understand what nanny meant. So I said, do you mean baby sitter? Baby sitter. Japanese pronunciation doesn't have SI sound. Just an SX sound. So always whenever people say sit, so sometimes when you order the dog, everybody says shit. I felt so weird. And also, I believe that Jenny came from Indiana. And then he said Indianapolis. Now everybody, myself, can say Indianapolis very nicely. But when I first went to the United States at the O'Hare Airport, and at the customs, where are you going? I said, Indian police. Indian police? Woo! No. Oh, okay, I finally answered, you said Indianapolis. So something like that. And one time when I was in New York, at a hotel, in an elevator, what floor, sir? I said 4, instead of saying 4. So, because we don't have S sound. So, I have been laughed so many times, but now much better. But do we have any experience? We speak some Japanese. That was my question.
Can I give you my big mistake?
Yes.
Every foreigner has a big mistake. I was trying to tell someone I was nervous, kinchou shitemasu, and I said kinshi shitemasu. And it was in front of a lot of people. I was very embarrassed. I also have another ALT friend from many years ago who would come in and out of her office every day. And when she came in, she was trying to tell everyone, nice to see you all again. And instead of saying, ohisashiburi desu, and she was actually saying it to one of her bigger bosses, like an important person. Instead of saying, ohisashiburi desu, long time no see, she said, ogokiburi desu. Yes, cockroach. So, do you guys have any experiences with messing up on Japanese? Go ahead.
So a common word in Japanese is almost really interesting, but I've encountered the problem where it's very similar to omorashi.
You're the key.
And Andrea, did you have something?
I've learned to be very careful about this.
Yeah.
I can't think of anything specific at the moment, but usually when I try to speak long sentences in Japanese, I get a lot of blank stares. So a lot of, huh? And I'm like, oh, never mind. It wasn't that important.
My Japanese is not good enough to even say the wrong word by mistake. So when
So, oh,
There's one up here and then one down there.
yes, so,
So you do this one up here because the mic is there, and we'll go
Sure.
there next time.
okay.
Some of you have experience with teach Japanese school, and where are you visit for you teach Japanese school? So do you have any experience if you apply in Japanese school?
Interesting experience teaching at Japanese schools. Oh, while you're thinking, let me tell you my first very one 30 years ago was having to go to a school for the first time and getting so excited to go into junior high school and walking in and all the kids are so excited about a foreigner coming in and then all of a sudden someone screams, "Kids, get there!" And I'd never heard of that before and I was so scared. These days they usually do it sitting down, but in the past everybody moved at the same time and I thought, what military establishment have I come to? I was so shocked.
Okay.
Okay, this wasn't in class, but when I first came, I have two schools. So the first time I went to my second school, I was, greeting all the teachers, all the staff. Hello, I'm the new ALT. And then in the hallway, as I'm walking somewhere with my coworker, suddenly this man walks by and goes, "Hey, hablo español?" And I'm like, "No." Which means, "Do you speak Spanish?" And he's talking to me in Spanish. And I'm like, "Yeah? This is Japan? Why are you speaking Spanish?" Very hilarious. I have never seen him again. Oh, that's right. So I work at one large school and one small school. At the large school, I have coworkers who are very curious about the political climate of America, and she does not understand why things are happening the way that they are. So she will ask me very blunt questions about American politics with no warning, and then I will try my best to explain. But the most awkward was in my introduction lesson to my students, I have a picture of an American police officer from my hometown compared to a Japanese police officer so they can see the difference. What I did not realize is that the American police officer is wearing a camera, a body camera. And so the Japanese English teacher asks me, "Oh, can you explain to the students why American police officers must wear cameras?" And I said, "Oh no!" I think I did a good job. And she apologized later because she could tell I was stressed. But I think I handled it well. And at my small school, the students do not know very much English, but they are very excited to talk to me. So they want to use all of the English that they know, even if it doesn't make sense. So they tell me they love me regularly. They in the hallway, "Oh, Ali Sensei, I love you." And the boys ask me to marry them very often.
All right, I believe we have one more question.
Thank you for all of you, your beautiful speaking presentation. Actually, I would like to share some of my experience regarding to, you are what to say, small letter C.
Little culture, yes.
Yes. When I went to America to teach some Japanese culture as elementary school, in the morning, every morning, some teacher brings a big amount of donuts. In the morning, Japanese say it's impossible to eat something so sweet in the morning. I was being surprised, and the bad part was for me, they exchanged jokes, and which sometimes I can't follow them. So, but everybody's laughing, so I try to make fake laugh, fake smile. And another small, excuse me, another cultural embarrassment. after listening to Shizumi's presentation, I remember that when I invited ALT many years ago, when her parents came to Japan to Hoku, and I invited them to my house. And from the morning, I made a lot of good dishes for them, kind of proudly. I prepared everything. And she guided around my house to her parents. And to my big surprise, she said, "This is the kitchen," and opened the refrigerator and see this. But you know, I used up all the ingredients I prepared because to make a delicious food, and the refrigerator was quite empty. It was quite embarrassing. But thanks so much for today. I remember those small things.
Yes. So thank you too. I did the same thing at my friend Ken's house. It was my first time going to a Japanese person's house. So I walked in and I opened the fridge to look for a drink. Very normal. Yes, very normal. Ken's wife was, are you looking for, or do you feel sick? Do you need water? Like, is this an emergency? No, I just wanted a drink. They're very forgiving. I love them a lot. But I was also so embarrassed on the other side. But yeah, so thank you so much for all of your questions. We have a little bit of time left, but I would like to have one final word from Professor Wilson. I didn't know if it was Professor or not. Professor Wilson, and then we can break for some small chat to talk with other people too. So, Professor Wilson, please.
First of all, big round of applause for I have to say that I think this is the highest concentration of at least American blood, American people that I've seen in Yamaguchi in my 30 years here, except that maybe an ALT meeting. So it's really nice to have this kind of thing. I've been hoping for many years that we can have the Japan-American Society try to get more foreign people involved in things. And this is our first attempt. I hope that you all enjoyed the talk here today, and that some of you would like to at least give us your email address so we can let you know when we have other events. You don't necessarily have to pay money and join. We would like to let you know anyway. What was I going to say? We had a little meeting a few weeks ago to prepare for today, and I was able to meet all of these guys and see their PowerPoints and figure out what everyone was going to talk about. And all of us agreed that each PowerPoint was only 10 minutes long. They really had so much more they wanted to say, and that's a good thing. So I'm already, number one, trying to figure out a way to do this to show or to have them talk to my classes somewhere, hopefully in the near future. And then the other thing is I haven't run it across the board of directors, next meeting maybe, but I'm hoping that the Japan-American Society can have something like a Saturday morning coffee time, online coffee time. And I was thinking if this works, that each person can have one time itself so they can kind of stretch out and have more, tell us more about all of their talks and that type of thing. I'm sure everyone will agree that that's okay to do. And I will set it up and do it myself. So I'm hoping that, I know that many people live many places around the Yamaguchi Prefecture, so doing these kind of things online as well will make it easier. And we don't all have a lot of things to do on Saturday morning, right? Every month or so, have something like that. So if you have any interest in participating, again, on the program today is the QR code. If you just try to take a picture with your camera, it will come up with a link. The link is actually next to it, I think, as well. I guess not. You try to take a picture of the QR code and it connects to a link. Go to that link and let us know how you enjoyed today's afternoon session. And if you want more information, there's a place to put your email address at the bottom. Okay? And so that's it. We actually have the room for another little while. And I'm purposely finishing early because in our past anniversary things, we had wonderful time for apple pie coffee. Unfortunately, with Corona, we cannot have the food and drink aspect of it. But I did want to leave a little time for people who want to meet up with other people and talk and find ways of keeping in touch and that type of thing. So with that in mind, although we can't eat, we still have lots of teas and coffees here in one more bag. I'm going to set them up down here. So on your way out, please come out this way and take some teas and coffees. If you would like to stay here for a little while and drink some tea and coffee and then talk to people here or other people in the audience, that's great. Other than that, I'm going to go ahead